So your e-commerce site needs to be set up to be able to mimic the way that you currently do business. How your backend systems are set up to accept payments, to show price lists, meaning when I log in as company A and I look and I do a guided search, I'm only shown those products that I am authorized to either resell or purchase. So only being able to see those instead of having to scroll through 9,000 pages of something. That my negotiated shipping terms or my negotiated shipping partners information is on there. That information is in the back-end systems. Is it able to be presented on the website? So reducing the friction for your customers as much as humanly possible so that the way that they order from you is exactly the same online as it is person to person.
So Christiane, it's been a pleasure meeting you and the Nomad team over the last little bit. How did you, what was your personal path into this B2B e-commerce world that you live in today?
Well, it's very nice to meet you too. So for me personally, I've always worked in B2B. I've usually worked in B2B software, ERP, CRM, even a little bit of CMS and database. So I've always been in this world, and I've always found B2B, B2B to be much more fascinating than B2C. I enjoy the process and understanding the process of selling a tractor versus selling Diet Coke. And so I've always been in this. I've kind of circled the e-commerce space a little bit. I've worked for companies that have sold their e-commerce platform as part of their CRM. And I usually ended up just kind of migrating to that because I found it fascinating. And I think I found it fascinating because it's something I could relate to. So when you talk about a supply chain management system, I really had to sit and learn and kind of take a leap in faith when you're trying to learn about that system. But everybody's done e-commerce in their life. So you find some little bit of something that you can understand because we all shop online. I've shopped online since the first time you could shop online. So I've just always liked that and digging in and understanding the nuances. So I've kind of circled it for a long time. And then when I came to Nomad e-commerce, it was this is what we do. We do e-commerce. We don't do a CRM. We don't do a sales or a service center system. And by the way, we have an e-commerce platform. This is all we do. And we have a really good background in it. And the people that work here really know this sector. And I thought that was fascinating.
So tell me what you and Nomad are seeing in this B2B world in 2025. Kind of what are some of the major challenges or major opportunities that you guys are seeing as we kind of look at the rest of 2025 and even into 2026?
What we're definitely seeing right now is another transition. If you go back to the beginnings of e-commerce, people saw an opportunity there. They jumped in. The B2C world went first. B2B kind of looked at it and said, it's probably not for us. We use sales teams. We use manufacturers' reps. We distribute through wholesalers. We just really don't need this. And there was a very definite definition, for lack of a better word, on what e-commerce was. And so B2B just kind of looked at buy. That kind of changed with the pandemic, and we all know what happened with the pandemic for retail. Order online and pick up on the curb. Retailers were really looking for ways to sell that didn't require people actually physically coming into the store somewhere. For a long time they couldn't, and for a long time people were hesitant about it. But what it also did is that in the same way that people couldn't go into stores, your manufacturer rep team or your contract sales teams or even your in-house sales teams, they couldn't make site visits. I remember I was working for a company in 2023, and in the fall of 2023, so 3 years after, 2.5 years, let's say, after the pandemic, they made their first on-site call. So this wasn't a matter of they couldn't get into these facilities for a year. It was in a lot of cases, it was long-term. You could not talk and meet and see your customers. So it impacted B2B as well. And that caused, manufacturers, distributors, wholesalers to really have to go and say, okay, what can we do? I know I just bought some socks from this vendor. They're great socks. They're wool socks. And let me call the platform. Let me call the vendor that hosts this socks website. But what happens is that they sign up, they go for it, but then they realize, okay, I do much more than credit cards. I need to be able to support, maybe not support it within the platform, but I do wire transfers. We sign up for ACH. I need to do quotes. I need to be able to configure, or I need to be able to have them configure this. That usually used to be an in-person sale. Now I need to figure out how to do this. What do you mean they can't pay an invoice online? What does that mean? What do you mean I can't have 4 users under my customer account number? That's just the needs of B2B are so diametrically opposite of what you have in the B2C world. And those platforms, in a lot of cases, were built for B2C. And it was very, very hard to retrofit. And when it's very hard to do something, it also costs a lot of money to get it done. You can throw money at a problem and solve it. But when you're in the mid-market, you might not have that money. And so they get very discouraged. And so what we're seeing now is not that, it is the same. It's B2B, e-commerce is not for us, but the reasons behind that is a lot different. It's not because we don't need that, we sell in person, but it's like, I tried that didn't work. That was really expensive. I don't want to do that again. And so it's the same response, but for much different reasons. And that's one of the things that, we're seeing out there in the market. And so there's a lot of education going on about yes, you need to find the right platform. You need to be able to integrate to the back-end systems. You need to be able to get your data to be able to work for you. And with the right platform and the right team and the right service and the right design, you can sell online just as much as well as the guy that you bought socks from back in 2020.
What are some of those main reasons people are latching on to now versus when they did this originally?
I think there are 2 main reasons. One is competition. People see their competition doing it. We get a lot of customers. We were just at a trade show, let's say 3 weeks ago, where we had several companies come up to us and say, our competitors, they do 40% of their business online, which in the B2B world is, who would think that people would buy tractor blades, or they would buy, picnic tables or grills, or, something like that, or sandpaper online, that 40% of your business. And so there is that incentive where you see, even if you may have tried it before, you see your competitors being successful. And it's like, okay, I need to be able to do that. And we do have a lot of customers that, for example, are losing a lot of their business to bigger enterprises that have the resources, and they're not losing their business because the enterprise is selling it at a lower cost. They're losing business because it's convenience. People will still pay for convenience. If I can do something in 4 seconds by hitting go or hitting return, I'm going to do that because my time is worth something. So they're seeing, I think, the competition, their competitors, the marketplace is really driving that. Secondary to that, and we've heard this all over, is that, as people retire, younger workers come in, the generation that's coming in is used to buying online. They're used to be able to pay for their stuff online. They're used to being able to track their order. They're used to being able to do everything with a keyboard as opposed to in a meeting. And they want to take that experience that they grew up with or that they have when they're buying their socks to the workplace with them. And we've had customers come and say that. We have customer testimonials where our customers will say that on video, is that our workforce is aging out and we have to keep up.
I think 10 years ago, I talked a lot, and when I spoke a lot about millennials and the impact of millennials, and that they hadn't known much of a world without the internet. And now we have Gen Z, my daughters. I have 4 daughters, and they're all entering the workforce, right? And that generation like knows nothing but a world with the internet, right? Their whole life is on the internet. They do DoorDash for dinner when they want Subway at 10 o'clock at night, or McDonald's, more appropriately, or Taco Bell, actually.
Yeah. And I love a good Taco Bell.
Favorite.
Love a good Taco Bell, but they truly do not understand why they can't do that.
Yeah.
On, in the workplace, because everybody's working harder, we're working faster, and, anything that allows you to do that is going to be embraced by your workforce. If I can do it 30 minutes with a keyboard and a monitor versus 3 hours in a meeting, I'm going to take 30 minutes in a keyboard every time.
I think we saw first investments being made over the last probably 15 years, especially, over the last probably 12, 13 years especially. And those investments were kind of the first foray into e-commerce. Now companies are looking at moving on from those. What are some of the reasons companies are moving on from those initial investments? Or another way to say that is, why did some of those initial investments not pay off like they needed to, or they need to move on to something different?
So I think that there's 2 reasons. There's probably more reasons, but let's talk about 2. So the first reason is they may, like I said before, they may have tried it. It may not have worked as well as they wanted to, either because they were selling their product, a curated list of products, to a small little segment of their marketplace, and because their systems weren't fully integrated with their front end, or their systems were too customized to be fully integrated to their front end. It caused more work for their resources, for their team, for the people behind the curtain, so to speak. And change management became an issue. People didn't want to use the system. People wouldn't use the system. Things fell through the cracks. Customer complaints went up because everybody expects an Amazon experience. And if you don't get an Amazon experience, at minimum, you expect to be advised of the fact that you're not going to get an Amazon experience. And so it just became more work. And people are like, okay, this isn't for us. I think the other reason is that what is e-commerce in B2B? And that is I talk to people about this all the time, is what does e-commerce mean to you? In the B2B world, yes, it could mean I'm selling parts online to a small curated section of my customer base. But it also could mean that I'm able to manage my product warranties online. I'm able to let my customers, my dealers, my distributors, input and register products. It could mean that I could check on my warranties. It could mean that I could then order the parts, or I could transfer warranties. It could be warranty management. It could be the sharing of price lists, specialized price lists among my distributors. Maybe not something that is like visible to you and me that we could go on the website, but it's behind a firewall. It actually could mean something like a rep portal, where because my sales model is dependent upon the relationships my rep team makes with my customers, but I'm able to give them a specially curated, I'm using that word again, view into the ERP so that they can sell better, quicker, faster. It isn't necessarily a website where I can see 6 different colors of a screwdriver and the bits and the rolls of sandpaper. It could be all of that. And so I think as people start to dip their toes into it, the world of possibilities open up.
When we kind of look at technology, we talked a little bit about change management, adoption. So much of adoption is not technology itself and the platform itself. how are your customers kind of thinking through how to get their customers to actually use the platform and to adopt it? And to, you mentioned companies doing 40% of revenue. How do you get customers at that level to adopt the digital tools that you've created for them?
One of the reasons is that the website, your website and what you present to your world, so your e-commerce site, needs to be set up to be able to mimic the way that you currently do business, how your backend systems are set up to accept payments, to show price lists, like meaning like when I log in as company A and I look and I do a guided search, I'm only shown those products that I am authorized to either resell or purchase. So only being able to see those instead of having to scroll through 9,000 pages of something. That my negotiated shipping terms or my negotiated shipping partners information is on there. That information is in the back-end systems. Is it able to be presented on the website? So reducing the friction for your customers as much as humanly possible so that the way that they order from you is exactly the same online as it is person to person, like if a sales rep was sitting across from me right now. And so that's really important, is that platform, that e-commerce platform, needs to be able to connect into your systems. And again, as customized as a lot of these systems are, because in B2B, everybody's business is run a little bit differently. That's the one commonality I think I can say, is that every B2B business has a little bit of a difference. And so that means that your back-end systems are usually pretty customized. So is your platform able to pull from those customized fields, from those fields that are added in? Or is it only able to pull in from the standard fields that come with the ERP, as it comes out of the box, so to speak? The other thing is that education is really important. And I think, and that has been one of the biggest missing pieces, I think, in this marketplace, that I was actually really excited. And one of the reasons that Nomad wanted to, join forces with the B2B e-commerce association is that education is really, really lacking in this market. If you go to Udemy or Coursera or anything, how to build an e-commerce website, I'm going to say 99.99999% of that content is designed for me setting up a site on Etsy or me setting up a Shopify site to sell my socks. Nothing wrong with that. Love a good sock. But the world of B2B is completely different. And again, you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know what to ask. And so one of the things I was truly, truly, truly excited about this association is your certification programs and your education programs. And I think that if you can get content out to people, I think you will find that there is a huge market, because that is the question. Like, people are looking for help on how to, we've invested in this. We know we have to invest in this. Our competitors are investing in it. Our customers want it. We don't know what we don't know. And so the education that you guys offer is much, much, much needed. There's a huge gap in this marketplace for that.
So the ERP inside of most manufacturing distributors is really kind of the lifeblood of their organizations. Most IT departments are built around the ERP. All of the company is often organized around the functions of the ERP. And then we have e-commerce, this customer-facing tool for customers to use. Talk to me about the importance of integration with the ERP and kind of where you guys sit with that. So,
like you said, ERP, not to repeat everything you just said, but the ERP is the foundation of a business. And how everybody implements their ERP is different. We have customers where we integrate with their CRM. Because a lot of their customer data is in there. A lot of their product description data is in there. We also integrate to third-party databases where we can pull compatibility data. So like this bumper will fit on a 2018 to 2020 Ford F-150. And this bumper will fit on, so you can see, so we can do the compatibility of certain parts. So as people go through and do guided searches. So being able to take that ERP data, which may be just a bunch of symbols and abbreviations that you don't understand, and being able to merge it with other data from your CRM or your third-party databases or a CMS, and be able to just automate the flow of that data so that when you look at a product description, it may be 1/4 EXI, eighth of an inch BBBC. And that might be what you call a screw and a nut in your ERP. If you just shove that onto your website, that doesn't help anybody. But to be able to enrich that data with a marketing description from your CMS or wherever it is in your company, and be able to pull that rich marketing description into your website without having to have somebody come in and put fingers on keyboards and type it in, is huge. It helps with change management because it's automated. It helps with pushing sales through the website because people don't have to call and go, so what is a 1/4 BBBT2 thing that looks like it might be a box of screws and a nut? I don't know. And so you take that off the table. So our attitude is however you need us to integrate, we are really good at integrating. Like we can build connectors, like we know how to do it. If you use Acumatica, if you use NetSuite, doesn't matter. Whatever it is you use, we can connect to it.
So talk to me about Nomad. So there's a lot of B2B e-commerce platforms out there. What was kind of the driving factor of starting a platform versus a services company and things like that?
Well, we're kind of a mix of both. So we are a platform and we target, I wouldn't say target, we serve the mid-market. So anything from like 10 million to 250 million. Depending on revenue, depending on the type of business it is. But we serve mid-market manufacturers, wholesalers, and distributors. And why is because there is a hole in this part of the market. Sure, you can probably retrofit a B2C platform like Shopify or BigCommerce or something like that if you're very small and you're just starting out, because a certain level of manual work is probably not going to be an issue when you're really, really small. If you're over on the other end in what typically is called enterprise or big company level, you probably have the IT team that you can build something that fits your needs exactly. And we do. We come across that quite a bit, where we actually had a larger company approach us about wanting to just use our code base. Could we just start from your code base and do that? And we're like, well, maybe not. And so they usually have the resources to build what they want. But the mid-market, the 10 million to 250 million, they probably do not have a robust IT team. They probably don't have an in-house designer. They've probably used a marketing agency to build what I tend to call a content website or an informational website, but might struggle to build an e-commerce site that pulls the right data from the ERP or CRM or whatever. And so we saw that there was a real need in this sector. And so what we do is we will build your website on our platform. We will host your website, so you don't have to worry about hosting. You don't have to worry about getting a server. You don't have to worry about renting it. You don't have to worry about any of that. We host it for you. We support it. We have full support. chat, website, phone, however it is that you need. And then we'll also update. So we do updates once a month. So we're kind of like that perfect little mix between we will build it. We're an agency. We host it. We'll even support you. And we'll make sure that, as we update it, your product gets updated. You don't even see it. You just get an announcement from us going, here's all the cool things we did to the platform. So we kind of view ourselves as a full service e-commerce company for the mid-market.
Is it SaaS or is it kind of cloud hosted?
It's cloud hosted. There's no in-house, there's nothing to load. We host it on Azure and it's all cloud.
So you guys do all the services yourself then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we do. So we will design the website for you. So we have an in-house designer who will come and say, here's your branding guidelines. Here's what you want it to look like. We'll mimic if you have a content website. Most people do, but some don't. We'll design it. We'll provide you with it. We sit and we listen and we scope it out for you. This is what you want to do. In a lot of cases, it's a phase 1, phase 2. And we push it out. And then once it's pushed out and it's implemented and, everything is good, we move you over to the support team and you get an account manager and there's support. So if there's an issue, you call us, we'll fix it. And a lot of times we know about the issue beforehand. And then we, like I said, we update it once a month. We do a major update release.
What are some of the bigger industries that you guys serve?
So it's really a mishmash right now. We are very big in HVAC, plumbing, heating, cooling, plumbing, air. We have several customers in HVAC. We're actually expanding into different divisions of different HVAC manufacturers and distributors. This industry is called like fasteners. So we do really good with fasteners. And I think the way to think about it is that any business that sells parts, whether that's the resale of the part, aftermarket part, an OEM part, we do really, really good with parts. So a lot of industries will come to us and say, we do X, Y, and Z, but we want to sell our parts to our dealers and our distributors for aftermarket care. The other industry that we surprisingly do really well, and we have a show coming up that we're going to go to, is restaurant supply manufacturers and distributors. So industrial pans and cooking and restaurant materials and things like that. So we hit the gamut. As long as it's discrete manufacturing, mid-market, we can do it. We've also done concrete.
I think the restaurant supply is interesting because there's some larger distributors that started really small, but larger distributors in there that are very, very web digital first and probably driving that market very fast. So you're watching literally your top competitor be a digital first company. I find that interesting.
We also see that in the construction industry. Like one of our newer customers came to us because they compete with, and the name escapes me right now, so apologies. Milwaukee Tool, I think they're one of their biggest competitors is Milwaukee Tool, and she said that they were losing a lot of their customers to Milwaukee Tool, not because of cost, but because of convenience, because they are digital first. So yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that.
Do you guys deal with, you kind of talked about products and search and discovery being able to fit into, different larger machines. Do you guys do fitment?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. We have several companies where product fitment is a huge thing. One of our customers sells aftermarket, for lack of a better word, truck parts. So like if you want a tool bed or a toolbox in the back of your service trucks or something like that. And this particular aftermarket toolbox may fit these 5 brands of trucks, but only from these years with these tire sizes with this. And their guided search feature can get really intricate with like 10 attributes with, 10 sub attributes underneath, well, hundreds of sub attributes underneath. And so we do really, really well. Another one of our really big customers sells aftermarket parts for older automobiles. So like your 57 Oldsmobile or, a 61 Porsche. And so, a lot of those parts will fit the 61 Porsche, but it also might fit the 62 Ferrari. I'm not a car person. So if I just said that and I made somebody wince, I'm sorry.
No idea.
But that's actually one of the areas that we really excel at.
You mentioned earlier you serve manufacturers, distributors, and wholesale, and you were intentional there about how you use those words. How do you guys view the differences between wholesale and that industry versus distributors?
That's a good question, because you're right. A lot of our competitors use the word wholesale distributors, and we are very we are very clear that we do wholesale. So let me just explain kind of the difference for us. I don't think to a customer it would really matter, but a lot of our customers come to us where a lot of companies have multiple sales channels. They may sell direct to the consumer. They may sell through a wholesaler. They may sell through a distributor. They may try to sell through a retail store, which could be a wholesaler. And so a lot of our customers come to us who already have a website for their direct to consumer through Shopify, through BigCommerce, through one of those platforms. And they're lovely sites. They're great. So like say I wanted to buy their pasta sauce for my party on Tuesday night. I could go to their website and do that. But then they struggle when it comes to the wholesale part of the business. And for a lot of, especially in the food service industry, your margins are very, very thin. So you want to keep your selling costs down quite a bit. And so they come to us and they're like, we need to be able to do this for a wholesaler because we negotiate terms for them. We may have blanket purchase orders. We would like to be able to let them pay through ACH, not just a credit card. Because a lot of B2B companies don't want to buy on a credit card. It's not what they do. We would like to be able to let them only see the products that they're able to sell because we're trying to protect this other channel in this market. Or we're trying to expand into this particular geographic region and we want to open this pricing up. Or here's another big nuance that you never hear in B2C. We offer shipping discounts to try and upsell them. And so they have a lot of nuances in their wholesale market that they used to have to do manually. And so we come in and we build a lot of wholesale sites for companies that use B2C platforms for their direct to consumer. So that's one of the reasons I say manufacturers, distributors, and wholesales, because to us, there is a little bit of a difference. To one of our customers, however they categorize it is fine.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense, and I think that market is seeing a pretty big resurgence too, in wanting to go wholesale. There are current B2C platforms not really supporting all the nuances of what wholesale means. You mentioned things like payments, but it's also things like pricing and deeper integration, possibly with the ERP. Things like that.
And what I see a lot, just me, Chris Soto, going through the internet, is when I get to a site and I'm like, oh, that's an interesting site. And you go down to the footer and you click wholesale, you'll just see like a PDF catalog.
Right.
And so they haven't figured out, how can I get my wholesale wing of my business up and running? Well, we can help you.
So thanks for joining. First of all, how do people get a hold of you and Nomad and hear more about the product?
So I would say the easiest way is visit our website. We are at Nomad eCommerce, all one word, .com. You can go through and see everything that we offer. We have case studies. We have product demos. We have a library of unique features and capabilities that are like 1 to 2 minutes. Very little effort to watch. You can kind of get a feel for what some of our customers are able to do. And if you want to get a demo, we can do a personalized demo for you. You just bring us your use cases, or you bring us your situations, and we can customize a demo on the fly for you right there. No worries on that.
Amazing. Very good. I really appreciate your time, and thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Justin. I appreciate it.
Manufacturers, distributors, leaders in the zone. If you're building B2B, this the podcast throne. The industry's heartbeat, we're setting the tone. Turn insights to actions, it's how empires are grown. We're talking change management, breaking resistance. Strategies so sharp, they redefine persistence. Customer adoption, it's more than retention. It's building a movement, commanding attention. It's the B2B e-commerce show, where the vision is clear and the strategies glow. From the top of the globe, where the pros who know, turn the volume up loud, it's time to grow. We bring news, big topics, insights to spark. From the boardroom's glow to the warehouse dark. Digital transformations, the path we're paving, helping you lead through the change you're facing. This is more than a podcast, it's the industry's voice, giving you the tools to make the right choice. No fluff, just facts, no hype, just action. The show where solutions are more than a fraction. It's the B2B e-commerce show, where the vision is clear and the strategies glow. From the top of the globe, where the pros who know, turn the volume up loud, it's time to grow.
This is your guide to the digital race. Practical advice, no time to waste. So tune in, gear up, and let's own the space. It's the B2B e-commerce show, the industry's base. The industry's base. Industry's